if I can, I tend to just try and brush any loose and dry sand out. I don't worry too much, but what I can get, I can get. So. Okay, the question is, how do you find a straight line on an oval plaque? I need to put 2 holes either end. So, well, what I've been doing, and it looks sort of about right when you're done, but it's, you know, it's judgment of eye, and I don't think this thing was particularly accurate in the first place. Crappy old ruler, mainly because somebody, not me, has used it as a paint stirrer and then not cleaned it off properly. Not very happy about that, but there you go. So what I've been doing is just trying to pick the longest point what I really need is a nice set of long calipers. So if I hold that there and try the other end, according to that, that's about centre, apparently. So there we go, that's what they're marked out. Just trying to level it up so nice and square with the camera, best I can. If anybody can think of a relatively straightforward and better way of doing it, I say for the easiest way would be a set of 30cm calipers, but I haven't got any, they're only 20cm, all I've got, so there you go, make do. That's not looking too bad. This is a pattern I only intended to do a couple of, and they're actually from my mum, who's an artist, and it had a defect which came out of the original mould. And surprisingly, there's the original one, which is made of plaster of Paris, and you can't actually see that marking on it, but you can feel it. Now, say I was only doing a couple, so I really wasn't too concerned that it had markings on it, because I was only doing a few and they were from my mum. But she started selling them, and now she wants quite a few. So she's a bit desperate for a couple at the moment, so I haven't finished dressing this one up as much as I would do. And I'm probably going to mount it on a new moulding board and put it in one of the newer flasks that I've made, because I don't really like using the old flasks, but at the moment I've got other casks going on and these are the only ones I've got spare. So for now it's going to get what it's going to get. A lot of people spend time when they do their patterns making a silky smooth and shiny. This has just been sprayed, came out okay. As I say, I wasn't expecting to do too many, but you can see where I've started sanding it down to the bare aluminium in places. It's not going to be a problem. You see some of my patterns, they are just bare aluminium. They're not painted, they're not dressed up. Doesn't need to be. Your pattern doesn't need to be super shiny. By the time you put a parting powder on it, if it's smooth enough, the parting powder will help ease it out. I've dusted the mould. It's come out alright. It's snowing. It's 1 degree in here, but I've got some casts I need to get done, so I'm having to brave the cold. So this is a new version of the plaque that I've been doing for my mum, ironically. All sanded down, redone, rejigged. Hopefully this one's going to come out a little bit nicer, because the original plaster of Paris mould that she gave me to copy really was absolutely diabolical. You didn't notice it so much until you put a finish on it. And as soon as you started casting it, it was coming out terrible. So this one should be okay. I've dusted it, so now I'm going to mum it up. As always, sieve it. Anything that comes into contact with your part, sieve. You'd be surprised, once you use your metal, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's a lump of hard metal. You'd be surprised once you start using sand for casting, if you've been using it 3 or 4 times, you'll start to find the odd little bit in it. And the more and more it gets used, the more and more bits and pieces turn up. And generally speaking, sieving is the only time these bits get removed. Big foundries, their facing sand will be renewed every time. But those companies you pay for. Right, done this part, dust it off. Not too worried about the back of the mould, so I'll just run a coarse sieve through. Because this moulding box is so deep, I'm actually able to cut in a pouring basin to begin with. A lot of people are still using a tapered pouring hole. It's a bad idea. When molten metal, particularly aluminium, is at pouring temperatures, it reacts very similar to water. And if you can imagine water going down a plug hole, well, that's what you're getting when you're pouring down a tapered sprue. Any air that's pulled in with it generally will end up within the casting somewhere. Many people get away with it. And I myself started off like that, but I soon learnt. And as time's gone by, I've read a lot of information, and it's not good practice. These pouring basins like this help a great deal. For a small foundry such as myself, it's going to be very difficult to ever get rid of all incursions, but we try and do the best we can with small foundries, or decent small foundries, should I say. Metals from a good source. I don't for my paid customers, I don't use recycled metals. Or should I say that I don't recycle them myself. They're purchased in. Now the idea of this type of basin, it gives, you pour the molten metal in here and it overflows into the sprue. The step helps stabilise the aluminium before it proceeds to drop in, and hopefully it stops films, dirt, all sorts of bits of air inclusions. Because believe it or not, a tapered sprue, if the sand's porous enough, as the aluminium pours through the sprue, it can actually pull air out of the sand. So, as you'd also saw, the sprue is very small diameter, about 10mm at the bottom. You think you're not going to get enough metal in through that, but you'd be amazed. Remember, it's like pouring water. If you think how much water you could get through that hole, well, that's what you're doing. I'm going to try the edges in the bottom want to be as square as possible. With a nice rounded lip over the step.